Blog Talk Radio.
Blog Talk Radio.
House Witches. I'm Raina Stark, so you don't have to be. Desperate House Witches is not a G, PG, or even an R-rated show. So, bad language, bodily function, dirty talk of any kind might offend you. This is not the show for you. Oh, that's bullshit. You know it's the show for you. That's why you fucking tuned in. Desperate House Witches is brought to you by the amazingly wicked one herself, the incredible Dorothy Morrison. Please check out the Facebook page for wickedwitchstudios.com. Available now. Autographs, sugar skull, coffin boxes, and you can get them filled with stuff or not. Your choice. Go get them. In addition to that, you can still get some oils and candles because you know you love them and you got to have them because we're getting to that season where we're going to start casting for extra shit. So check out wickedwitchstudios.com for all of your witching needs. So, with me for the hour, yay, Astrea Taylor is back. And the book that we're going to be talking about is Inspiring Creativity Through Magick, How to Ritualize Your Art and Attract the Creative Spirit. Hey, Astrea, how are you?
I'm so good. Thanks so much for having me, Raina.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much for coming back on. So I got to tell you, when I first got the book, I was like, oh, shit. It's a book about creativity. I'm not a creative person at all. This is not going to be fun. And then I started reading it, and I was like, holy shit, it's a book about creativity. This is talking to me. This book is talking to me. Okay, so here's my thing. I don't consider myself a creative person. I don't paint. I don't draw. I don't sing anymore because I broke my voice. Lots of abuse. I don't dance. I'm not a writer. I don't do the things. And this book was like, well, bitch, you can if you want to. So this book has quickly become my book. Yeah. It's become my book of the year because it stopped me from doing the self-sabotage. And I'm like, holy shit, this book is talking me out of sabotaging myself. What the hell? Where has this book been my whole life? What is going on here? No, seriously, because it's like the last safe place where people slam themselves, their body image and their creativity image. And I think people have this tendency, like it's okay to be cruel to yourself or deny yourself or say that things that you're generating artfully is crap. I think it's one of the last vestiges where we really down ourselves and we get away with it. And your book is like, bullshit. Don't do that. There's ways through this. And I just love this book. And I'm so grateful to you. Because
thank you.
It kind of inspired me to, like, try to get over my own bullshit about creativity. Because, I mean, listen, art is a very subjective thing, correct?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, sure.
But you inspire and encourage getting with your muses because they are available. It never occurred to me, and I know this is going to sound moronic, probably, don't care, because I'm not the only moron that exists. It did not occur to me to set magic into the art. My feeling was always that if I wasn't naturally talented, it wasn't for me. And that's not true, is it?
Right. We all start from a zero place. We come with nothing, maybe some innate abilities, maybe some encouragement. But really, art is more about honing your craft than it is being about being born with it.
Interesting.
And magic can help.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love how you address that. And I also love, and there's other things, like, when somebody I don't know about other people. I know about me. I know that sometimes if I get a creative inspiration, it's suddenly like a horse being let out of a gate. It's out of control. It's running rampant.
Yeah.
And you actually address that in the book, and you talk about, kind of narrowing down where you're at and trying to actually make it so that it's a cohesive art, whatever it is, because you address all different types of art as well. It's not just about writing or singing or painting or drawing. It's about everything and just being an artistic person and being in touch with the creative muse. So how did you, you're very artistic. You do all the things, right?
I do.
You're a dancer, you're a writer, you're a sculptor, let's see, what else? Let me try to remember. You sing too, don't you?
Yeah, I love to sing. And I act too.
Yep.
I do collages, finger painting.
Yep. Your whole essence is very, like, you're the embodiment of someone who we would consider artistic because you're multifaceted. I have trouble enough just drawing a straight line, which I can't do. But I love the fact that that's not a prerequisite.
No, and straight lines are overrated.
So true. Can you adjust your position a little bit? You're a little bit warbly.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Here's another position.
Oh my God. So good. Perfect good.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Good.
Perfect good. Thank you. So you talk a lot about designing a space to invite creative spirits in, which never occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I thought if you were born with it, great. If you're not born with it, go find another hobby. But you're like, no, not necessary. You can actually create a space and a time. You talk about it from an entirely holistic position of herbs and crystals and timing and setting the mood and music and attitude and knowing when to let the right spirits in, which did not even occur to me. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about was, have you ever been in a creative situation where a bad spirit showed up?
I could say that there were times that a spirit showed up that wanted to express something that wasn't really in my purview. I think that dancing, you can kind of absorb spirits a little bit more readily than writing, because you have a specific modus operandi for writing. Whereas dancing, you can kind of express a lot of different things, and especially with different music that you listen to. You can kind of find some music that's a little bit haunted, I would say, or a little bit saturated with a specific emotion, and that can come through your dancing. I'm really picky about the music that I use for my dancing for that reason. Because some stuff can come up, like it can dredge up negative emotion. And if it's cathartic, if it's in a performance where I'm moving through that emotion and bringing out the joy or finding the light in a bad situation, that's okay. But if it's just like a random song that I'm dancing to, something weird can come out where it's not necessarily a good experience for me, and the performance can kind of like overwhelm the audience with this other kind of emotion. If there's like a very egotistic song or very depressing song, it can make the audience feel depressed, or like they're being exposed to someone's ego, which isn't really that attractive.
Right. No, I understand that. Have you ever experienced, like, when you're doing art privately, like, because you do all the things, like when you're writing, for example, which is actually an art form. Thank you for reminding me of that. Because this, if you're like me, you don't feel like you're a very artistic person, and this book really kind of blows the doors off of that and says, yeah, you are. You are. You have to, but you have to put forth intention, and you have to put forth real ideas and dedication. You can't wait for it to just plop into your lap. And I love that you said that, because I'm very lazy. And again,
you're busy. I don't know if it's lazy.
Well, I mean, I'm lazy. No, I'm super lazy. Because my feeling is, without innate ability, maybe I just don't have any ability. And it's really like, no. If you set the dedication and the time, and you coax the muse, whatever that muse might be, for whatever it is you're trying to do, that can be done. And the whole thing about setting the tone, the relationship, talk about relationships with muses, because I found that part fascinating.
Yeah, so I feel like that is one of the biggest hacks when you think about the spirit world, is the relationship that you have with the spirit, or just one spirit in particular. So my relationship with my creative spirit, whom I call Crow publicly, it started when he showed up when I was creating. It was a really rocky situation at first, because I was like, how dare a spirit come into my house? And my house was protected. I had to get used to the fact that he wasn't a bad one. He wasn't a bad spirit. And so then we started doing this relationship building, which I think is the proper first step when you encounter a new spirit, especially one that you're going to continue to engage with. So I would call upon him when I was creating, and he would show up. And it's funny, the more time I spent with him, the more he revealed of himself to me. And I could only see him through my peripheral vision. But what I began to see, instead of just like an energy-shaped form, like a blob, it started to take shape of this beautiful gentleman crow. Sometimes when I would write a lot, or dance a lot, or engage with him a lot, he would get bigger. And I remember one time when I was editing, I think it was Intuitive Witchcraft, I felt like he was 7 feet tall, like looming over me, and like assisting me with the words. He would trickle of inspiration over the top of my head that felt like cool water, just like in a waterfall. And then if I, took time off from creativity, our relationship changed. We just wouldn't spend as much time together. And then he would change shape, and he'd become a little bit smaller, a little bit more hesitant, maybe. So what we give to each other was really important. And I tried to give him offerings, because that's what a lot of spirits like. That's how you build a relationship, right? But he just didn't seem to like anything that I tried to give him until I made a collage for him. And I spent hours looking on the internet for the right images and everything. I found some and put it together. And he was so happy with that. After that, our relationship got even better. He visited more often. He visited more inspiration. So really, this was a trial and error kind of situation, because I hadn't read a book about this kind of relationship before. People had mentioned it. Stephen King has mentioned it. Ray Bradbury. But no one goes in depth about it so much. And I think the closest that did was Liz Gilbert, who wrote Big Magick, and the people who wrote Sway a little bit, but they're not magical people. Really. Like maybe magic without a K, but I really thought that this kind of a book needed to be in our world, in the magician's world, which is pagans and whatnot.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Why do you think I'm so in love with this book? It is a book that was so needed that I wish I'd had years and years and years ago, because the book really gives not just permission. It's not really permission because we don't really need permission. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm just that kind of person that just needs to be told, yeah, you know, you can do that if you really want to. But the encouraging part about making these relationships with spirits is almost like, oh, you're not in the deep end of the water by yourself. If you can partner with a muse or a spirit, or is it preferable to say muse or is it preferable to say spirit? Because I've heard them be used interchangeably.
Yeah, I think that I prefer the term creative spirit because mine doesn't show up like a classical muse of like ancient Greek mythology. So I think whatever you want to use for your own terms is great, but that's just I just use a very general term for mine.
Yeah. See, now when I give offerings, like when I'm doing deity work or spell work, like I offer booze. Booze may not be. I mean, my gods are super happy with my offerings, but I'm not really looking to them to give me creative inspiration in an artistic sense, so to speak. So maybe that's not quite the appropriate thing to make an offering to a creative spirit. What do you suggest as an opening pitch or as an opening offering when you first want to? I mean, how do you even find your creative spirit? How does that work?
Mm-hmm. Well, I found mine through creating a ritual to basically write. I was having problems writing, and I really wanted to write a book. The first time I was writing a book, and this is when the creative spirit showed up. So I kind of was using whatever worked. I had this elaborate setup. I had to have my tea or coffee. I had to have the soda light crystal. I had to have certain music, wearing headphones to get me in the mood for this book that I was writing. And then I also burned a candle. Because why not, right? I love candles. And so I had all the elements there. I didn't really realize it at the time. You know, I think that we have all that stuff around the house all the time. People like us, you know. So there I am. And then I also have these other atmospheric conditions that are helping me. Like I have a heater at my feet. The weather is winter and it's cold outside. I have a light overhead. There are just these specific ways that help me get into writing. And then that is kind of like it just became my ritual. Like, oh, it's time to write. Better light the candle. Put in the ear pods and well, I guess there were earbuds back then. Yeah, and get everything ready. And then that's when the creative spirit started showing up for me. And I realized, all four elements. I have this intention for creativity. I'm doing magic here. That was kind of the that was the way that I met that spirit and how we started working together. And that was 6 books ago.
Wow. Before that, you had this idea that you wanted to write a book, but was it something that you didn't know where to start? And that's why you wanted to
I knew where to start. It's sad. I've been trying to write books for probably since I was like 21. And it just didn't happen for me until I was in my mid-30s. So when the creative spirit showed up.
What do you mean?
Sorry.
You're so 22.
Sorry. I'll be 47 in October.
Shush! How dare you look that good at your age? I'm just embarrassed. Okay, go ahead.
I love it.
You're
that's when the creative spirit showed up, and that's the first book I ever finished. So I just have to say, and then I was just writing books, and I had, it just feels so good to be in the creative flow. Can I just say that too? The inspiration, it just feels magical. It feels like you're in a magical state, like you're in a ritual, and you're like, ooh, I feel like spirits, I feel the deities, or I feel the magic coming up through me. It's like that, but it's like a constant flow. If it's good, If it's good, dancing is the same way, when you're on, and you have it, and you have the energy, and you're expressing it. It just feels like you're on fire in the best way possible. So it's addictive to do this. And then during the pandemic, I was like, oh, there's not a book like this out there. And I've been doing this, and I need to write this book. I really thought like Christopher Fenwick or a Tempest Jackroff would have already written this book. No, they didn't. So I decided to do it.
And I'm so glad you did. And those writers are wonderful writers.
Yes, they're so good.
Ever. But this book is actually helping me to do different things. It's giving me a different way of doing the things that I do. Like I like to make jewelry. So I never thought of that as being artistic. And
definitely is.
It kind of made me straighten my shoulders and say, shit, I made something pretty. I did something. Yay!
Yes.
And
you should feel glad.
Yeah.
Like you accomplished that. You had a vision. You had a vision.
Yep, I sure did. And I carried it through, and I was able to look at what I did the other day because I made 3 different bracelets, and I'm like, damn, those are actually pretty. I'm excited about this. This is fun. I'm actually doing something. And it's not like it's rocket science. It doesn't have to be. But you need to please talk about the importance of just personal creation for the individual from a mental health standpoint, in the sense of how fulfilling it can be.
Well, when we create something and we don't judge ourselves harshly about it, we can kind of give ourselves an expression outlet for whatever we may want to produce. And you can produce something, beautiful or pretty, or something you may want to sell, and that's one intention, one way of expression. But you can also create things that help you process complex emotions. You can kind of give life to something that confuses you, and then kind of get more clarity from that. There's a lot of citations and sources that say that doing art in and of itself is healing. You're going through this process, and so it's kind of like you're reopening this emotion you have, or this outlet, this emotional body, even, if you want to look at it that way. And then you're just slightly changing it. You're healing yourself when you express these ideas. And it's not just healing the bad stuff. It's also you can practice standing in your power, standing in your spotlight, and receiving compliments and things like that too. If you put your art out there, but even if you don't, you can just imagine that as well. That can be your art. You can receive your own compliments, and feel good about yourself that way. Like, oh, I accomplished that complex pottery move, or that weird thing that you do with the Photoshop. That looks really good. Even if it's completely anonymous, you can do something that makes you feel good in yourself. Like you accomplished it, you nailed it, and then you can hang it on your wall, or wear it on your wrist if it's your bracelet, or do a performance, or read your own poetry to yourself. Whatever it is, you're just giving yourself, more life.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so true. Like I just lost a loved one in the last couple of weeks, And
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. She's much better off now. She's not in pain, so we're very grateful. But, I came home and I wanted to, she loved jewelry. So I was like, I'm inspired to do this particular thing. So I did it. And then I was talking to a friend of mine who has a shop who said, hey, if you did this with it, I'd like some of them. So it kind of was a catalyst from one move to the next, where I could create something that made me happy, that made me think of my loved one, but now it is morphed into something else that I'm going to be creating for other people. So I'm really excited about that. And your book is really something that gave me courage to go ahead and say, yeah, I am an artistic person. I can create things of beauty and enjoy them. But there's something I have a problem with. And you talk about it in the book, and I'm like, she does know me. It's amazing. And it's called The 21st Mug. Can you please tell me that story? Yes. And I love this story. I love this to death. Okay,
so,
please.
So, I took, go ahead, sorry. Oh,
no, it's, okay, so the idea is about growing in what you're doing. And it's okay, because the starting point that I was at looked like a 5-year-old did it. Now it looks like an actual adult with intention and thought process made the art instead. So please tell that story, because I love that story.
Sure. So when I was studying pottery in college, I loved it. I loved creating on the wheel. You just get in this whole trance where the whole room seems to spin and you're sitting still. It's really fun. You can just enter a trance really easily. And I loved it. And I was creating these mugs, lifting up the clay from the spinning wheel. And at first, they were just kind of not so great, and the handle especially was just, I had a lot to learn. But I still fired it. I had put in a few hours with that mug. I was like, you know what, I just want to do this and see what it looks like. You don't know what it's going to look like after it comes out of the kiln anyway. So, I got it back, and I remember being so happy with it. I was like, I made a mug. It's my first mug. And it held water, it held coffee. And I kept going, week after week. I would come there and kick the wheel and spin and make more mugs. And over time, my mugs got better and better. And I would give some away to friends. And then about when it was, the 10th mug, my technique was getting better, the mugs were looking better. The first mug broke. Because it just wasn't well constructed. I didn't know what I was doing. Since then, using it, I knew what to do with how to change my technique. And then so I kept going. And maybe I want to say the 16th and 17th mug and the 18th mug were all kind of similar. They were almost there, but there were weak spots, and maybe the lip was kind of not quite right on some of them. But I have to say, by the 21st mug, I nailed it, and it was really interesting. The difference. I remember because I have a picture of myself with a old mug, and it was broken looking. I don't know. Even before it broke, it looked like it was about to break. And then next to the 21st mug, there was such an improvement. And it wasn't that I was born to be a potter. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have there's a mug. But what happened was me putting in the time and observing the effects, and just noticing what tweaks were actually making things better. And then, keeping going into the process more and more, being committed, and reaching that point where I actually accomplished something that would not only hold water and look good, but it would last.
Yeah, and I love that story so much because it's really about, because that really speaks to me as the person who says I'm not born with it, I can't do it. And that kind of was like, that was one of my life-changing moments in the book.
Good. I love that.
Good. I love that. No, I mean, it's like I said, when I first got it, I was like, oh, it's a book about art. And then I started reading it, and I was like, oh, it's a book about art for me. Yay! And that really, when you find a book and you can relate to it, and it speaks to something you've always had in your mind as a very negative thing about yourself, and somebody says, no, doesn't have to be that. This book is so much more than just a book written by a fellow witch or a fellow Libra. Hello, Libra. That's you know, it's really a book for anybody who doubts their own abilities to create. And I'm so grateful for this book because it's so kind and it's so no-nonsense in a lot of ways. But it's a gentle no-nonsense. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't hammer me over the head with it, but you're kind of like, stop giving yourself excuses to not do this. Because I think a lot of us, I mean, because a lot of us do exactly that. We want to come up with all our reasons why we can't. And the book is like, let's change that to the reasons why you can. And if you need help, contacting a creative spirit means you're interested enough to not have your excuses hold you up anymore. And that became so that, and you know, you would think, well, the person who uses magic and a practitioner, isn't that obvious? No, not to me it wasn't. And I'm not the only person out there who thought that. So if it's not just me, there's got to be more people like me that needed to hear it this way. So I'm going to say not only is this a book for magic users, but it's also a book for anybody who just really doubts themselves. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, I used to be that person. All those lessons that are in the book, like, I learned them all the hard way. My mom says I like to learn things the hard way, but you know, I really learned the lessons that way. You know, I can't just be told something. I have to experience it. I have to go through it. I have to feel the emotions before and during and after. And I used to think that I couldn't create. I wanted to create, but I thought that I wasn't the artist. I would support the artists who were out there. They were very talented. I knew who they were, and I would inspire them with my passion and my cooking and you know, just being myself around them and supporting them and like you know, like I really sacrificed a lot for those other people. They never gave that much back to me. I don't even like really appreciated it. But that really showed me like, why am I not doing this for myself? I mean, of course I was. But why wasn't I giving that kind of supportive energy to myself? Because I deserved it. I realized I just had this dream, like, I thought that I couldn't do it unless someone would just swoop me up and say, I'm going to pay for all your training and all your apartment bills and all your food and everything that you need. I'm going to give you all the supplies. And, you know, this whole, like, whatever Daddy Warbucks dream, I don't even know. Right. Came up with that concept of permanent. But it's not healthy because I could have been that person, and I realized I was like, I am the person. I'm the person who give myself all the things. I invested in myself. It was a conscious choice. It was a shift in the mindset, and it was very intentional because I did have dreams. I did want to be an artist, and I did want to create art, and that was how I began. The book kind of starts with some like reasons why, like why do you want to create, what interests you, those kind of questions, and getting to the bottom of like what kind of artist are you? Like how do you think about things? Like what would you like to see as more of in the world? You know, because those were so important to me, and just forming my whole artist beingness, I guess. And like going from there was just so important to me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us don't think about what I refer to as the artist profile. Like, who are you? What are you doing? Why do you want to do it? Is it Is it something you want to just keep to yourself, or do you feel like you want to do it to a level that you're sharing it with other people? And I never had those conversations with myself before. And then I started having those conversations, obviously recently, because I've done things that were considered artistic in the past. Like at one point in my life, I wrote poetry, and I'm like, well, I'm not a writer. And then I was a singer for a really long time, and then I kind of broke my voice through abuse. But, you know, I mean, there's all these different things that you can aspire. And see, I look at you, and to me, you're like the consummate artist. You do everything. So it's kind of like when you say that you were not that person, I can't imagine you as not being that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and thank you. But that proves the point, like that if I can do it, anyone else can do it too. Like I just put the time in, put the effort in, and use this like system of like treating a ritual to kind of just make the artistic self feel welcome and happy, and then you know to work with the creative spirit too. That and you know that really everything up.
Absolutely. And the whole idea of setting it's kind of like a romantic dinner, you know, that you hope is going to lead to something else. But you've got to set the mood. You've got to set the whole setting. You have to think about it. You have to it's not going to just come out of the blue. You have to be really thoughtful about what you want to create, what's your intention with the creation. These are not questions I had ever asked myself before this book. It's like, what are you setting out to do? And until someone asks you that question, I don't know that you necessarily know to ask it yourself. So that's part of why this book is, I think, going to help so many people, even people who are already doing things that are artful. I think if you want to go deeper into your art, if you want to expand on your art, this book is so helpful for setting those intentions and those moods and those requests for assistance. I'm just like, thank you for this. I didn't know I could do those things and ask those questions and have that, you know, divinity inspiration translate into my stupid little shit, because a lot of us think of our own art as stupid shit. You know, it's just the dumb shit I do on the side when I'm not doing my day job. But your whole life is about art. Everything you do is artistic. So it like blows me away to know that you were at some point feeling the way a lot of the rest of us feel, that you were supportive of other art, you know, people in art, and you're the person that probably does the same things I do. Like when you have a friend who's an artist, LTZ, for example, you know, she comes out with a new print, and I'm like, oh, I must support her and buy this thing. You know, and I'm very big into supporting pagan art and pagan businesses. I think it's super important because the more we grow our folks' stuff, the more credibility it gets in the world, and the more we spread that kind of magic and validation, you know, because, you know, I look at LTV, I look at you, I look at Jason, and I'm like, oh my God, I know all these amazing, talented people, you know, Jason's a great writer and knows everything about whiskey, and Freya knows how to do everything, and LTD knows how to do pretty much everything as well. You know what I mean? You're both physically creative, and you do all the art stuff. I mean, it blows me away. I'm like, how do you shove that much creativity into a human? So, you know, again, when you say this wasn't necessarily you, and you were more the supporter than the artist yourself, it kind of blows my hair back, like, what? You know? So it's so encouraging to know that we can all tap into that resource and encourage that aspect of magic in our artwork. So it's just such a great thing. And you talk about the right herbs, and you talk about fragrance, and you talk about, all the corresponding things to the type of art you want to make. See, this book is so good. Just go get this book. I'm just saying. I don't say that about every book, but I like this book a whole lot. And I love the fact that Michael Herkus wrote the foreword. I love Michael Herkus, the glam witch.
He's so inspirational.
Inspirational, yes. And to me, he's a walking piece of art. And I've said that to him repeatedly. Because when the first time I ever saw a photograph of him, I was like, oh, gorgeous. Yes. And not from any kind of a sexual thing, just as a piece of human being walking art, just artistic, every detail thought of and draped just so, and every color
head to toe.
Head to toe. Yeah, and to me, that's, wow, when you can just walk down the street and be art, that just blows my doors off, so this book is so good. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you ever feel, during the writing of this book, did your muses ever, or not muses, but your creative spirits, because I'm assuming that for different things, there are different creative spirits at times. Did you ever get nudged, hey, mention me, or hey, don't mention this, or hey, you really should put this in the book, and you disagreed? Have you had disagreements with your creative spirits?
Well, it's funny because I feel like they do influence my writing a lot. And it can get kind of like out of hands with them sometimes. They just want to take some idea and run with it. And you're like, well, I don't know if this is really conveying the message or intention that I wanted to put out there. So, editing is always necessary. But I think it's exciting when it does happen, and oftentimes that's gold. When they start putting the words on the page, or when the spirit just starts moving my arms, or directing my posture or gaze, so I'm really embodied, with the dance of spirit, giving that to the audience. That is, I appreciate it so much that I let them get away with some of those extra things. I did hold back on some things because my creative spirit has a different name than Crow. It's just a public name that I use, so I can refer to him without giving away, his name. So it's one of those things we're not always supposed to talk about every single magical thing that we do or that we know about. So we have, that power and that accessibility, and if somebody else were to try to draw upon that or attack it, they wouldn't be quite as successful not that name. And then I think the last question was what was the last question?
Was there anything that you argued with them as far as whether or not to put it in the book?
No, I would say I put as much into the book as I could. In fact, it's kind of a smaller book. It can fit into a prose pretty easily. And my editor, Heather, was like, do you have another 5,000 words? And I was like, you know what? It was really concentrated. This was like drinking from a fire hose. I mean, for me to write it. And so I kind of think that's how the book kind of translates into other people as well. And I didn't want to put any fluff or filler in there. I just put in everything that I thought that I could. There was one thing that I omitted that I think that should have been in there, but I just didn't think about adding it. It was about this time where I was doing this fire dance, it was my life for a long time. That's how I put myself through grad school. I had this icon, this woman. She was just amazing. Linda Farkas. Look her up. We were doing the same kind of thing. We were all making our own fire crowns and skirts and these like elaborate things where like we would light them on fire. But she's like European. We never met. But then she passed away from a fire dancing accident. And I do want to reassure everyone out there that I'm very safe and intentional with my fire dancing. We have more safety mechanisms in place than she did. We don't take any risks. So this isn't going to happen to me. But like we were just, my friends and I were just so devastated. We had a show that night that we found out. And so, there's that circus saying, the show must go on. And so we put all of our grief into that show. We let ourselves grieve for the first song, and the theme was like very ironically like sexy clown too. Like for that. But we painted our faces with like a little tear or like a little we really grieved during that first song. And we just felt it so much, so strongly. And we gave everything, and we transformed the grief, I believe, during that song, during the performance. And the song that followed that was a more upbeat song. And so we took all that energy and picked it up off the floor and then like shot it out of the audience with our joy of just having known who she was and having seen her and being inspired by her. So it was such a big change in the energy and how we processed it all. And it was kind of a personal story, and I didn't know if I could do it justice really, so it didn't make it into the book for that reason, probably. But it's just so profound that I feel like I have to bring it up.
Oh no, but that's a beautiful story, and it talks about transmuting grief into joy and literally carrying the torch. Like these are the people that have gone on before us, and you're literally doing the thing that was inspirational, and I think that's an amazing. Wow, what a great story! You're gonna have to tell that story to other people too. I just get the feeling. But what a great story about taking grief and turning it into art and literally honoring the person that you were grieving. That's amazing. That's really a super cool story. But I understand why it didn't make it into the book. But the book is jam-packed with information. Seriously. And then there was this one section of the book that I was like, I'm struggling. And it was about beta reviewers. And I'm like, oh yeah. I never show anybody anything until I'm done. It's like, how am I going to get around that? What are your thoughts what are your suggestions to somebody like me who's like, oh, really? No, I'm scared of that. Because nobody wants rejection. And that's like the first thing I'm going to go to. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that you're going to get rejection from everyone.
Okay.
I do think that only about 50% of beta reviewers actually get back to you about things unless you give them money and there's a contract. So don't see that as a rejection. But, you and I, we've read a lot of books. Yeah. I'm reading a book right now for some research. And I can tell there wasn't a good editor. It's not typeset well. There's like kind of some weird stuff in there. There's just like a couple more typos than usual. And that's the kind of stuff that needs editing that we can't see. We have a blind spot when it comes to our art. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that we can't really see how other people are going to absorb it or what they're going to think about it. And especially for like bigger projects like a book or like a whole artistic display of like several pieces, we would, we would get some feedback about does everything work together? Does this flow? Does this feel cohesive? Does it feel like me? Is anything missing? Like if I needed to edit something, or where would you put this on a pedestal? If it's an artistic display, would you hang this on a wall up high or a little bit lower? We just need external eye or an ear or a mind sometimes. I think that just helps us wrap our heads around what we're putting out there, and it just polishes it up a little bit.
Yeah, so it's really not something to be horrifically, don't invest your entire heart in the opinion of a beta reader necessarily, if it's something you've written, but get a collection of opinions, I think. Like, if it's not a book, and like Astrea said, there's contracts and money involved, but if you're creating a piece of art, talk to some people that you trust, or some people who will be completely neutral to give you an opinion, but don't let anything destroy your heart over it, is what I guess you're getting to, right? It's like, there's a chance people won't love it, but don't freak out over that necessarily, right?
Yeah, even my favorite books, they don't have 5.0 stars on average. They have 4.3 average stars or something like that. You can love something and it's not somebody else. I think I use the example of ice cream. I love chocolate ice cream. Some people don't like chocolate ice cream at all. They want to have the fruit sorbet, and you know what? They can have it all. As long as I can have my chocolate, I'm okay. I'm okay.
I know. It's a great comparative, because honestly, most people like chocolate ice cream. And of course there are going to be some detractors. Also some people are allergic to chocolate. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
But the propensity is, the preponderance of evidence is that most people are going to have positive things to say. But also remember, when you're writing, no one hears how you're saying it in your head necessarily, which for me is the mark of a really great writer. Like, I can hear you say the stuff in the book, and if I can hear you say it, it makes sense to me. Does that make sense to you? That I said that?
I try to write like that, in my own voice. It's something I actually learned from Jason Menke, is to write conversationally. I was trained to write in a scientific manner, which has a very different kind of layout and rule about everything. So it's different, and it's different. I like the conversational.
Absolutely. Well, because you want to feel like you're with the person that you're reading, like you can hear them with you and answer the questions, even though you haven't asked them out loud yet, but they get to the questions, which is really helpful. And that's obviously my preferred way. I've read manuals. I've had to put stuff into manuals. It's not, for me, it's not a pleasant task whatsoever. I can't be stoic like that. I have to inject humor somewhere, otherwise I lose my mind, which is why I no longer help people write stuff like that. SOPs, standard operating procedures, if you work at a day job. Yeah, okay, so when you work at a day job, everything's supposed to be very flat and very obvious, and sometimes bordering on condescending, because you have to make assumptions about what the person reading this may or may not already know. So there's kind of, and I can't do that because there's no joy in that. I got to make you laugh a little bit. That's my job. So I was told rather quickly, thank you, no thank you. You're being funny, and it's not a funny situation. And I'm like, fuck if it isn't. Everything's goddamn funny in this place. So that's just me.
Yeah.
But anyway, in the few minutes we have left, please talk to me about what you're working on next, because you gotta be. There's no way around it.
Well, I have a few events coming up. I don't actually have any books in the works, but I have a meeting with my editor tomorrow, so there's a proposal in, so we'll see what happens with that. But I am going to be at the Earth Warrior Festival at the end of September, and then the Witches Ball in Columbus, November 4th, and Gathering of the Witches at the end of October. So I'm looking forward to all of those events. And any more that come up in the next year.
That's fantastic. I'm really hoping that whatever you propose goes through, because this was great. I mean, Inspiring Creativity Through Magick. Oh, my God. Just get this book. Give it to people. Read it and then give it as a gift, and then buy another copy and give that one as a gift, too. Because if you're like me and you're too friggin' scared of yourself and you think your art is crap, it's not. Give yourself the space. Give yourself the chance, because, quite frankly, making jewelry, which is what I've been doing now, is so therapeutic during my grieving process and just through my extreme work life right now, because I've got way too many irons in the fire. I'm doing way too much for too many people. So, I stop at the end of the day when I can, and I design something. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be Tiffany quality. Just make it for you and get the expression out so you can get some kind of emotional, mental release that you did something from the inside of you and put it out in the world. I think we get so wrapped up in our day job, we forget to nurture the parts of us that need nurturing, like our creativity. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I would say also that if I have one tip, I would say, release perfectionism, not just for you, but for everybody. I think that we all hold ourselves to such a standard where we all begin at a beginner's level, and we all take time to get through the medium level before we're an expert or even good at something, probably. And that's okay. I think enjoying the process, too, is just... that's the message of life, right? Enjoy this time right now, right here that we have. Don't expect perfection out of every moment. Just try your best. Try to have some fun. Find moments of joy and try to laugh, like you said. And just appreciate it, right?
Absolutely. Stop taking everything so fucking seriously. Not that art isn't serious, because art is a serious business. And it's okay to invest real time and real effort in creating your art, but do it because you love it and want to, not because you feel like you have to. Huge difference there. I find that when I'm not pressured to do something, I get so stressed when I'm pressured that I can't do something beautiful. But if I'm just relaxed, again, this is all in Astrea's book about setting the tone, knowing your goal, having your intention right, having the mood right, taking care of the space you're going to create in, ritualizing it. It's all so important. It's all in this book. Everybody, once again, the amazing Astrea Taylor. Astrea, thank you again so much for coming on. Thank you for this incredible book, which has really opened my eyes to not being so damn afraid to create. I think everybody needs a copy of this.
Wonderful.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, and thank you so much for coming back on, and we will do it again soon, and I can't wait to hear about your next proposal.
Oh, yes, we'll be in touch.
All right, take care.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Everybody, that's it for this week. She's amazing. Go get that book. I'm not even kidding. This book is it's a great book. If you feel like you're questioning your art, or you feel like you don't have an outlet, or you're just like I was, where it's like, I have zero talent and I don't know what to do, start with this book. I'm serious. It will definitely help you. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Take care. Blessed new moon. Go make some magic tonight. Have good intentions. Make good choices. Bye.